Hey guys, Chelsea here, and it is time for Mini History Lesson Part 2. Now, we read this passage. We know from the passage that Bois doesn't super duper like Garvey, right? Actually, kind of super totally hates this dude. But it's really hard to figure out why, right? And there's not enough about Garvey in this passage for us to really put this together, so we're going to do a little bit of a survey here, right? What is Garvey all about? Garvey starts out, he's inspired by a guy named Booker T. Washington. You've probably read about or studied Booker T. Washington before. If you haven't, a lot of what Booker T. Washington was about was this idea of self-improvement. So, Black Americans need to, sort of that whole phrase, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? That's kind of the idea. So, get yourself an education, work hard, be a good person, like go to church, be morally good, and all that kind of stuff. And eventually white people will just realize how great Black Americans are because we're hardworking and smart now. That was kind of Booker T. Washington's idea. Garvey starts out with this and he says, yeah, this is a good idea, I like this. So when he first starts out, he's doing stuff like helping poor people. He's over in Jamaica, eventually he makes it over into the US, but when he's starting out, he's giving people money, he's getting people educations. I mean, the early stuff that he's doing is just sort of charity work. Then he goes on a tour in the US, right? And he sees segregation, and he sees Jim Crow laws, and he sees, you know what? I really don't think that these white people are ever going to realize that Black people have any value. Like, they're just, not gonna see it. These Black people are super messed up, they're cruel, they are just stubborn in their ways, and they're not gonna change, right? At least, Garvey thinks they're not gonna change, or they're not gonna change fast enough, right? So, again, this is him in this moment. So what does he do? He branches off and he creates what we would consider today to be his big Garveyism kind of movement, right? His big thing. He wants blacks to go back to Africa. Why? Because he wants them to have a homeland, he wants them to have a nation where they can fully self-rule, where they can truly be free, where they can prove that they are equal to the white man. Okay? So, all these Black Americans, forget America, we're gonna go back to Africa, we're gonna make our own country, we're gonna grow our own food, we're gonna have our own technology revolution, we're gonna do all the same things that all these white dudes are doing, and we're gonna do it better, and we're gonna show that we can do our own thing. We don't need white men to take care of us, we don't need, to be given our freedom, we're gonna go over there and we're gonna take it for ourselves. Okay, this is a pretty powerful idea, right? I mean, it's pretty good. So, as part of that, though, he recognizes that all these people who have been subjected to segregation, Jim Crow laws. Remember we mentioned, if you are Black and you're walking down the street at this time period, people are looking at you as if you are less than human. They're looking at you with, disgust. I mean, they're just horrible. They spit on you. They're mean. They're cruel to you. They're cruel to your children. Lynching is still happening at this time. We're still in the 1910s. Lynching is still happening, which is insane. Okay, I mean, when you really think about it, oh my gosh, I can't believe, but it is. So, life is not real peachy. And when life isn't really peachy, people, they're not happy. They get kind of depressed. It's pretty normal. Garvey knows that his people are out here, and they don't have the right self-worth. They are being told constantly by white men that they are worthless, valueless, less than. They need a pick-me-up. So, the second part of Garvey's movement is he does the Black is beautiful. This whole Black is beautiful thing, right? So, the white man says, you look at your black skin and you think that it's ugly, right? I'm saying you look at your black skin and you recognize how beautiful you are. That black skin is beautiful. It is perfect. It was created by God. You are this amazing, perfect entity, equal to or better than the white man, alright? Just, wow. Wow, how much value do you have? You are amazing. Again, that's huge. That's huge for these people. These people are so used to being told that they have no value, that they are just total crap. And now all of a sudden somebody is coming along and saying, look at how much value you have. You are incredibly beautiful. You are incredibly talented. All those talents that other people don't appreciate, I'm going to appreciate them. I am here for you. Okay? That's massive. And he inspired a lot of Black Americans. He brought a lot of Black Americans into a place where they could really take action for themselves. If you're depressed, you don't take action for yourself. If you're depressed, it's hard to get out of bed in the morning. You're not going to get yourself a better job or read several books to become more educated. You're not going to do that because you're depressed. He takes Black Americans, he gives them a reason to thrive, and they start thriving. And they get behind this. Garvey is estimated to have impacted millions of Black Americans, and white Americans too. All right. So, huge, huge ideas here that are coming out. But, as part of this, he is bold. He is daring. That's good. It's inspiring people, but it's also dangerous. Why? And we're getting back around to why does Du Bois not like Garvey? What happens there? A lot of Black American leaders don't like Garvey. Why? Why? Garvey's ideas seem good. Black people, we want Black people to think that they're beautiful, that they're amazing, that they have talents, that they're great. We want people to think that because they're human beings. Like, that seems like a good thing, right? And sure, if they want to go back to Africa or they want to stay here, I mean, that part's fine either way, whatever you want to do. But definitely the whole ideas of self-rule and freedom and becoming more educated, those seem like good things. So, what's going on over here? Here's the other side of the coin, right? White people, remember, at this time, white people are raised to believe that Black people are dangerous. All right? They're raised to believe that Black people are scary and you know, less than and all that stuff. So, if you're raised to believe that, right? Remember Persuasion World. We've been talking about Persuasion World. This is in your news. This is in your textbooks. You think that this is fact. You think it is fact that Black people are dangerous. If some Black dude, Garvey, comes out and he's wearing, I mean, this guy would dress up in military uniforms. He would have his whole entire organization, the UNIA. They would dress up in military uniforms. If he's doing that, if he's inspiring and radicalizing a lot of Black Americans, well, then what? Now what's going on over here? Now the white people are scared. Okay, they're gonna get scared, and for good reason, right? You're afraid of this dude who's wearing like a military uniform. I mean, that's kind of reasonable. Now here's the kicker. When a country gets afraid, governments swoop in and do all sorts of terrible things, right? You might have learned about this in your history class as well. World War II, Japan attacks us, and we decide that we're going to create these internment camps for all Japanese Americans. Okay, so Japanese people, but they were born in America, they've lived in America, maybe first, second, third generation Americans, okay? They've been in America for a while. They've lived their whole entire lives in America, and we say, you know what? Men, women, children, old people, doesn't matter, we're going to put you in this prison. Basically, like, you know, the internment camps that Jews were put in the Holocaust, okay? We're going to put you in this prison. You're going to lose your home. You're going to lose all your stuff. You're going to lose your business. You're going to lose your way of life. You're going to lose all of it. We don't care because we are afraid of you. And so we're going to put you away. And Du Bois is afraid that the same thing might happen. Du Bois is afraid, you know, obviously, okay, so World War II hasn't happened yet, but that's what he's afraid of. It's that sort of a thing that might happen. This is very, very common. When the populace gets afraid, gets fearful, the government swoops in and does all kinds of crazy stuff. Du Bois is afraid that if the white people get super scared of blacks, that all of a sudden the government is going to come in and say, you know what, maybe we actually don't think you guys should have an education at all. Maybe we don't think you guys should be able to vote anymore. Maybe we don't think that you should be able to own a business, or be able to be a lawyer, or be able to, you know, whatever, something. That's terrifying. That's terrifying for a lot of these people, right? What rights can the government take away if they just happen to be afraid of us? And so Du Bois, maybe his approach is more so to toe the line, right? Du Bois still accomplishes a ton of stuff. Du Bois, you know, stops a lot of lynchings. He does a lot of exposés. I mean, his organization is great, and they accomplish a lot of things, but they have a different goal. They're not as militaristic. They're not as you know, active and intense about stuff, right? They're more sort of what you might call on the passive side. So they're trying to get stuff done. but in a different way. They're not trying to parade through the streets in military uniforms. A lot of other black leaders, same thing. They're not trying to parade through the streets in military uniforms, and they're not trying to go back to Africa, and they're not trying to create this big spectacle. They're just sort of trying to convince the white people, hey, by the way, we are pretty great, we work hard, we're good, like Booker T. Washington, that whole idea, okay? So, this is the big idea. Is one of them right or wrong? Is one of them more right or more wrong? It totally depends, right? That's not really the point. The idea here is, what is Garvey's movement? What is Dubois' movement? Why do they butt heads? A passive person is always going to butt heads with a more active person. And they just have differing opinions. So, take this information with you, combine it with the passage. We're going to attack a couple more questions.